Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. You've given me
Good
a
evening.
reason to start.
Good
So,
evening.
yes, it's 5 minutes past time. We have other colleagues who are joining, but then we will have to start. Time is time. All right. Good evening again, and I welcome everyone to this session on behalf of the Generative Artificial Intelligence in Education and Research in Africa. I warmly welcome you all for spending some time to be with us this evening. My name is Macarius Naban, and I'll be moderating today's session together with Tali Koma.
Hello, Macarius. I can hear you.
Good. I'm sure he's with us. Oh, good. Great. That's great.
Yes.
All right. So he'll be assisting me in co-moderating this program. And we are delighted to have you participating and joining us from various institutions and countries. For some housekeeping guidelines, we'll kindly plead that you mute your mic throughout the presentation. And if there is any question, you can put it in the Q&A or the chat session. When the time is due for the discussion period, we'll look at some of these questions and address them in relation to the presentation that is going to be given by the speaker. And kindly note that this session is being recorded, and at the end of the day, the recording will be made available to those who will so request for it. So Generative Artificial Intelligence in Education and Research in Africa is an initiative that promotes the responsible and transformative use of artificial intelligence in education and research across Africa. And we do so through webinars, training programs, and research collaborations. And our aim is to strengthen digital capacity and encourage responsible AI adoption within the education sector. This evening, we are going to have two presenters, but one is going to be the main presenter, and the second presenter will give us a teaser prior to his session, which will also take place on a date to be announced soon. Our speaker is a distinguished mathematician. He's an educator, researcher, and an emerging voice in global conversation on culturally responsive mathematics education and artificial intelligence in STEM learning. He currently serves as the head of Department of Mathematics and ICT at St. Joseph's College of Education in Ghana, where he plays a key role in preparing the next generation of teachers through innovative approaches to mathematics, teaching and research supervision. He also serves as an adjunct lecturer at the Ghana National Association of Teachers Institute of Research and Industrial Relations Studies, and as an external assessor for the School of Graduate Studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He holds a PhD in mathematics education from KNUST, where his doctoral research explored the integration of ethno-mathematical perspectives into geometry teaching in Ghana's colleges of education. His research interests span ethno-mathematics, multicultural mathematics education, teacher education, and the emerging role of artificial intelligence in STEM education. His scholarly works have been published in reputable international journals and edited volumes, and he has also presented at several conferences across Africa, Europe, Asia, and North America. Beyond his research, he is also actively engaged in international academic collaboration, including serving as a co-investigator on multi-country research projects on teachers' perspective on ethno-mathematics involving scholars from Brazil, Ghana, Nepal, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. He's also a co-founder of this very organization, which is Gen AI Era, an initiative that is dedicated in advancing responsible use of artificial intelligence in education and research across Africa, as I earlier on noted. In addition, he collaborates with AI in Education Interdisciplinary Research Hub at the University of Oxford, contributing to global discussions on responsible and culturally responsible artificial intelligence in education. He has also completed specialized professional training for AI student-centered learning at the University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education, alongside certifications in prompt engineering and digital teaching practices, further strengthening his engagement with evolving relationship with education and research and artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Let's welcome Dr. Patrick Treme. Doug, you're welcome.
Thank you, Macarius, for your kind introduction.
Okay, let me quickly also underscore that our collaborators are here with us, UNESCO Bridges, most Bridges, they are monitoring the program, and the global AI community is also collaborating with us on this particular webinar. So we have the UNESCO Bridges and we have the global AI community. Over, Doctor.
All right, thank you, Macarius. I would like to share my screen.
Go ahead, sir.
Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, please, Doug. We can see your screen.
All right, thank you. Good day, everyone, from my end, and thank you for being part of today's webinar. My presentation explores a question that many researchers are asking, that can reviewers actually detect the use of AI in academic writing? And if they can, does it affect?
Hello, Doug.
Hello?
Hello, Doug. Please, your network is not stable. Kindly.
Is it better now?
I think it's rather yours. Doc's network is quite clear. Everything's
all
clear.
Right. Sorry about that. Sorry. Go on, Doug. Thank you, that participant that gave this indication.
I think the network is clear. I can hear him very loud and clear.
All right, thank you. So I was on the question that many researchers are always asking, that can reviewers actually detect the use of AI in academic writing? And if they can, does it really affect the credibility of research? In time past, AI tools such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grammarly have rapidly entered our research ecosystem. Many scholars use them, but the uncertainty remains about how reviewers perceive this. To be able to answer this, let's begin by clarifying what we will cover in this session. At the end of this webinar, we aim to achieve three things. One, understand how AI tools are currently used in academic writing. And two, examine whether reviewers can reliably detect AI-generated tests. And three, discuss whether AI use affects the credibility of the research that we do. AI tools have quickly become part of everyday research workflow. And throughout literature, researchers are using series of tools, AI keyboards, Microsoft Copilots, for language editing, paraphrasing of statements, brainstorming research ideas, improving writing clarity, and also drafting a whole research output, and then also summarizing articles in the form of literature review. And let's look at the AI usage in the research workflow. AI may assist researchers in the following stages of research. One, in the literature review aspect, researchers normally employ AI to assist in reviewing related literature and also analyze some data. These tools also support in drafting of manuscripts and also editing the manuscript that have been drafted, or it could be the final manuscript. Also, reviewers can employ AI to assist in the peer review processes. And also, we find AI being used to format references. In all of these, AI offers assistance and not authorship. Historically, human authors, reviewers, and editors perform all these tasks that I have highlighted in the research process. But today, AI can perform similar functions, even faster. So now the key issue becomes, does this change how research is evaluated? Now let's look at this core question. Can we tell when a paper was written using AI? And within this framework, we can have sub-questions involving whether humans can detect AI writing or whether softwares can detect similar writing, and also whether the detection even matter when it comes to ascertaining the rigors of research. And I have this case study for us to reflect on. I have 2 paragraphs. You are being invited to read through these 2 texts and then make your judgment as to whether you can tell which one was written by AI. Let's share our thoughts in the chat box. Can you tell which one was written by AI? Macarius, when we get a feedback, then you help us read them. Thank you.
Sure. Please, those who are having issues putting your answers in the chat section, you can do so now. However, the Q&A is also permitted. I have Dr. Yes, I think the responses that are coming are all going for B, paragraph B. So it seems all the responses except a few that's, I think, about 2. So far, I've counted 2 against the many that are saying the second paragraph, which is paragraph B, is an AI generated, where the first paragraph, which is paragraph A, is a human generated paragraph. So I think the verdict is very clear. Thank you, sir, and carry on.
All right, thank you, Macarius. And thank you, participants, for the feedback. But I beg to differ from the submission that you've made. And my position is that both could be AI generated. Now, to be able to make informed judgment, let's examine AI detection technologies and how they work. Among the AI detection tools that we have GPT-0, which normally helps in predicting word sequences and also sentence structure patterns and giving us statistical signals in the text. We also have Turnitin AI writing detector that also performs similar tasks like that of the GPT-0. Here it also gives us some predictability in terms of the text sequence and also sentence level and its stylistic patterns. And it also gives us some idea about the probability-based pattern analysis. We also have OpenAI classifier, which normally gives us a token level predictability, structural and syntactic cues, and statistical patterns in text. So basically, all these detecting tools do common thing. One, they are employed to predict patterns in text and also highlight some of the sentence structure and their patterns, and also give some statistical probability of the same test patterns. Here, the emphasis is that these tools are giving some probability to their detection. And those who develop this, their developers, even acknowledge that they are only employed to estimate probability. So probability is not certainty. And so it can be true or it can be false. Now, let's look at some of its limitations. Here, I highlighted 3 main limitations of these detection tools, apart from looking at what they really produce, which we have noted that they only estimate probability in terms of their analysis, which goes contrary to certainty. So among the limitations is the AI tools giving us false positives. Normally, they indicate human writing as AI generated. And also, they have false negatives, where AI written text may appear human after editing. And lastly, there are also language bias against the non-native English writers, because most of the models are developed in English language. So these are some of the limitations that we need to acknowledge. And because of these limitations, most journals do not rely solely on AI detectors. Now the question is, so what do reviewers actually notice? Let's find out. What reviewers actually know? Reviewers only raise concern about the quality of a paper when they are reviewing. And among the quality issues include the generation of generic statements, where they normally gives output in a form of broad claims with little specificity or evidence. They always result, or most of the times they result in weak grounding, where there is insufficient theoretical and conceptual framing for a study. They usually produce vague writings where overly polished language lacks clarity and depthness. They sometimes produce superficial analysis with limited methodological details and shallow discussions. They sometimes yield logical inconsistency in terms of its arguments and report of the findings, which normally do not align with the evidence that have been emerged. And also, they sometimes result in poor referencing. And in the case of poor referencing, there are some instances where they produce inaccurate, outdated, and some fake citations. Now let's look at some of the cases that as a reviewer and scholar have noticed. Among these issues is the false factual claims that are normally resulted from the usage of AI tools in assisting in the research process. These are my studies. The one that I've named cited work. That was one of the studies that was published by Sage. And this study was a multiple case study that explored the challenges mathematics teacher educators face in integrating into mathematical perspectives into geometry teaching in the Ghanaian colleges of education. But a certain author cited my work, probably with the assistance of AI, which was published in a reputable journal, which I don't want to mention the name of the journal. And let's look at what the AI assisted the author in coming out with. I read that portion. Chreme et al. 2025 ran a 4-week school-based trial with 90 learners and 2 teachers using tests and teacher interviews. Learners exposed to electromathematics, Pegger-Field, roofing run hats at perform controls, and teachers reported improved engagement. Features typically associated with more positive attitudes. To cut this whole thing short, through the deployment of AI, now a study that was focusing, in fact, it was a multiple case study that employed only 8 mathematics teacher educators in the quest to explore the challenges that they face in integrating into mathematical perspectives into geometry teaching. Now, let's look at what they are reporting here, what they are attributing to Chremeh et al. 2025. Now, it has interpreted to me that I employed a 4-week school-based trial, like experimental design. Meanwhile, this study wasn't an experimental design. It was purely a qualitative study, which employed interviews, multiple case studies, and the other qualitative methods in analyzing or gathering data. And now let's look at what AI has assisted the author in producing. Here, if you happen to be a reviewer, it will be difficult for you to detect it, especially if you are not conversant with the field of the research. Here, I was able to detect this because I got a feedback from the platforms where I shared my published work that this author cited this your work, and then I just want to double check to see how my work was useful to such authors. So I came up with this scenario. So these are some of the false factual claims that are sometimes generated by AI, which needs to be taken into consideration anytime we deploy the AI tools to assist us in our research journey. Let's also look at some inaccurate and fabricated references. The cited work. This was one of my publications. Here it was a preprint. So the author cited that preprint. And if you can see the authors, I have Patrick Chremeh, Francis Kwadwo Awuah, and then Daniel Clark Ore as the authors. But let's look at what was cited, how it was cited, with the assistance of the AI. Chremeh P, researcher I, and Ore DC. So here you realize that the second author, whose name was Francis Kwadwo Awuah, has now turned to be researcher I. But the rest of the details were accurate. The link, the preprint link was accurate. And the title of that publication was also accurate. But the authors were fabricated. And so these are some that are emerging as a result of the deployment of AI tools in our research journey. Here also, let's look at some inconsistency in terms of logic. This was one of my earliest publications, which was centered on systematic review and bibliometric reports. And this work was cited by it was cited by some authors. And if you look at what they reported and attributed to the study that they cited, if you may permit me to read a portion of it briefly, for you to observe the inconsistency in terms of its report. This study was on the A2 mathematics. But let's look at what the AI was able to support the author in coming out with. Here, it says, this study supports Denis' learning theory, which emphasizes the importance of the transition from concrete manipulation to symbolic representation. This finding is in line with the research of Chelmey et al. 2023, which is related to inactive iconic symbolic theory of learning. However, this study is more specific in adapting the theory to traditional games as a tool for the transition of mathematical understanding. The different from previous studies that mostly use conventional or technology-based learning media, this study highlights the value of local culture as a source of learning mathematics. This contributes to, so you could see the inconsistency in terms of the logic, because the focus of your study was on mathematics. And now you are bringing out a case that this study supports Denis' learning theory, which emphasizes the importance of transition from concrete manipulation to symbolic representation. This finding is in line with research of Chelmey et al. The one that he cited, or the author cited, was a bibliometric and systematic review report, which didn't look into the inactive and iconic symbolic theory of learning. So there is a clear fabrication and also some level of inconsistency in terms of the workflow. I'm tempted to believe that I have one publication with a colleague at UDS in one of my earlier stages of publication, and that was on multiple representation theory, which of course we looked at some of these theories. So I don't know. This is what I'm thinking, that probably the generative AI tool probably alluded this information to that publication. But per their cited work, it means that they are making reference to this systematic review and bibliometric report, which was in contradiction to what they have ascribed. So now let's look at some of these research and then anecdotes. Recently, research has shown that reviewers' accuracy in detecting AI-generated tests is mixed and conflict. Con 2025 undertook a survey for Nature publication. And among the researchers, reviewers, and editors that they contacted, about 43% missed AI tests. Also, Fedler and Doppie 2025 study report identified 50% of AI tests by humans and 60% of human tests, which was slightly better than probability. Research has also reported that the dictator performance also varies by two, the model versions, and even discipline, and to some extent, the degree of human editing, with their documented risks, which we have already discussed, including the false positives, the false negatives, with their language bias. So all of these point out to the fact that reviewers rarely detect AI directly. Reviewers rarely say this test is AI generated. Rather, they detect weaknesses, that's quality problems in the scholarship. Is detection really important? Among the reasons why we need to engage in this activity of detecting AI-generated tests is to help strengthen academic integrity. Because in the field of academics, we want to ensure originality of work. Also, we want to prevent the spread of misinformation. If you refer on what I shared with you, the various cases, you could clearly see a perpetuation of misinformation. In an instance where a study that was a multiple case study that employed qualitative tools now being presented to the academic community as an experimental study. So we want to curtail the spread of this misinformation and errors. Also, we want to help ensure fair assessment as we aim to protect the value of human scholarship. Let's reflect on this news that was shared on my feeds in the LinkedIn. Here, if I may read, it was reported that University of Hong Kong professor steps down from associate deanship after AI-generated references scandal. So in that report that was shared on the LinkedIn, it was said that this professor collaborated with other scholars and they employ AI to support in their reference search. And it was turned out that most of the generated references were inaccurate. And so, to show responsibility, he has decided to step down from that noble seat of associate deanship. So this reinforces the earlier indication on the reason why we need to detect AI usage, so that as scholars, we may not find ourselves in this unfavorable situation. To recap, we have learned that AI content is common and advancing rapidly. However, its detection is imperfect. Though it is possible, it is still imperfect because of how human factor can influence the AI-generated text. Now, as researchers, we are being acknowledged or admonished to employ AI as a collaborative assistant and not as a sole authorship. Artificial intelligence is changing how scholars write, but it does not change the fundamental principles of scholarship, which includes intellectual honesty, transparency, and critical thinking. Thank you for your attention and for attending this webinar. Now I welcome your perspective, experience, and concerns. And here are my email and then phone contacts, which you can reach out to me for further discussions. Thank you. Macarius, moderator.
Thank you, Doc. Is Sekeba in?
Okay. Thank you very much, Doc, for the wonderful presentation. I want to believe participants derived a lot from the presentation. It was well thought of and logical. I noticed a number of interesting impressions in the chat and some questions. I also noted some participants raised their hands. So maybe before we take hands, I will read the question that we have here because, oh no, in fact, it's a comment. It says, however, if we provide the AI tool with the references and the papers relate to, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. If we provide the AI tool with the references and the papers relate to in-hand issue, it will give accurate, efficient results. Then from there, we have a comment, wow, well presented. Great presentation. That's an awesome presentation. Thank you, sir. Great work. Yeah, I think most of these are compliments. So can I please take hands? There is a hand, yes, from one participant, Khomozo. Please unmute and speak.
Hi there. Thank you very much, and thanks. If I could call you Dr. Pat, very insightful. My question is, with AI detectors, so like Turnitin, etc. If I use AI and use AI to check for AI, is that not also like working against itself? So AI detects AI and it's actually working against itself because I've seen some profs use Turnitin or that to detect AI, but it's actually AI. Your views, Dr. Pat?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the good question. Here's my take. As I noted in my presentation, that detection of AI is possible, but there's also a second twist, or there's the other 10, which is its imperfection. It is possible to detect AI-generated tests, but this detection isn't perfect. And we discussed why it wasn't perfect, because they rely on chances. And so there has been research on these issues about using AI to detect an AI-generated test. And in some instances, you find the two AI tools conflicting themselves. So that is that. I would say that isn't perfect, or the result probably that will be generated isn't perfect. We need to exercise an oversight responsibility in deciding whether the report that was generated truly reflects what is on the ground. And that's why it is very complex in detecting AI tests.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
there has been a report that gives conflicting report on its efficacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc. And I noticed there are a number of hands and questions and comments in the chat and also in the Q&A. Can I please take the second hand from Israel? Israel, can you hear me? Please unmute. Yeah, there you are. Israel, please unmute and speak. Okay, now in the interest of time.
Hello? Hello,
yeah,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so my question is, talking about transparency, I would like to ask that how do I disclose that I use AI in my work, in my research?
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you. It's also one of the good questions. Most journals have started coming out with their format for disclosing AI usage. So my colleague presenter, Dr. Craig, will take us into that in depth. But for now, most publications have started coming out with some template to guide authors to disclose the AI usage and how it was being used. So here, you can declare that I employ ChatGPT in assisting in the editing of the manuscript. So on this note, you have declared that because you are not a native speaker, you have employed these two to assist in the editing of the work. Also, if you employ it to format your references to a specific star, like the APA or Harvard, then you note it down. You declare it. So these are some of the ways by which you can ensure full disclosure of the AI deployment. And as I indicated earlier on, my second presenter, my co-presenter, will take us into that tangent in depth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc. Well, Matthew, I notice your hand. Can we have Matthew and then Martin in that order before Dr. Chairman comes again?
Okay, thank you very much, Sekela. And then thank you very much, Dr. Chairman, for that powerful presentation, especially with the examples that you gave. I just want to add something a little bit to what you presented, especially as you shared published work. At times we might think that, okay, I used AI and the work is published, so what next? So people will still want to go ahead and then maybe use AI without disclosing. So the other thing is that what happens to the people who cited your work, cited it wrongly? What happens to them? Is there any penalty to that? What happens to them if they don't discover that? So, but then there is penalty to this. So what can happen is that the journal, if what Dr. Treme has identified, he can go ahead and write to the journal editors and ask them that they cited him wrongly, and therefore that paper should be retracted. And you wouldn't want your paper to be published and later on they will find some of these issues and ask that it should be retracted. So citing people's work, we have to be very careful about what we cite and how we even use the AI. And I've said it, just this morning, I was invited to a paper 3 days ago, and then the paper, we worked on it, it got accepted in the journal. This morning, the journal wrote back to us that they have realized that some of the references were AI, they suspect they are AI generated because the DOIs, they could not trace them. And therefore, potentially they are rejecting the journal, the article that they already accepted. And it looks so bad, very, very bad. So people are asking ethically, how do we use it? To use AI, there are very good ways of using it, which I think maybe the next presenter will also present on. But then all that I want to say is that there is penalty to that. Our credibility matters. And then the papers that have been published, if you even go ahead and publish, the people you cited, citing them wrongly can still get your paper retracted. And that would not be a good thing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Matthew. I think, yes, what you just said is addition to the presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Sorry. Was that?
Good evening, sir.
Oh, yes, Williams.
Please, sir. Can I also add to what the last person just said?
Okay, quickly, please.
Very sorry, please. I'm Dr. Williams from University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah. And now, what the example you gave is a very, very bad example. And that is why we must be very careful. Now, journals right now are not just particular about your references. They are particular about whether your reference is correct. He talked about the DOI. Now, for example, if you are using Jenny AI, for example, to write as your research assistant, Jenny AI. Now, they have what we call claim verification. And there are 5-6 steps to that claim verification because they want to check whether the reference, the DOI you cited exists. And right now, we have what we call hallucination softwares that detects whether those references or those things were hallucinated. So some softwares like Jenny AI wants to avoid that. So that is why they have what we call claim verification. And you must undergo those 5-6 steps for us to be very sure that that citation is 100% correct. Now, the issue of citing, for example, Elsevier, for instance, they have how you can cite AI. These days, they are citing AI, citing Jenny and all that. So that is why we say when you are choosing AI, you must choose the AI, number one, that you trust. Number two, that you have confidence that AI does not hallucinate. Number three, that AI is approved by universities. Number four, that AI is approved by journals. There are AIs that are approved by journals, and they will give you how to cite those AIs. So please, let's be careful. It's not a function of prompt. It's not a function of citing, just citing. It's a function of whether you are citing correctly, whether the citation matches with what you are, the reference you are giving. So it's very important. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Okay, I see Martin, I see Augustine. There were other several hands, but they are now lowered. So can we take those two then? Dr. Chairman will come.
All right. Thank you very much. This is Martin Do from Ghana. Okay, my question is, if I write a thesis, then after writing the thesis, if I give the thesis to AI to write the manuscript out of it for me, would that manuscript be considered as AI-generated content?
Okay, thank you. The second one, Augustine, and then we'll have Dr. Chairman to respond.
Okay, thank you. My question has to do with the use of human AI to humanize AI written tests. I'm studying in a particular university here in so-called third world countries, one of the third world countries. And they are very strict when it comes to AI, using AI in academic work. And I know a particular student, he used a humanized AI to humanize a generated test for his academic assignment. And with their technology, they were not able to detect it. So my question is, if someone use humanized AI to humanize any AI written test, can reviewers identify it? That's my question. I don't know if my question is clear.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Dr. Chairman.
Okay, so thank you for the questions. I will pick up the last question that came. Already, I've indicated that it is not a straightforward thing to check AI generated test. That's the first thing we need to underscore. And as reviewers and editors, only observe quality issues with your paper. And these quality issues were the ones that whether the references are inaccurate or fabricated, and also whether there is inconsistency in logic, and also whether there's lack of depthness, and also other things that we indicated in when we come to the issue of detecting AI-generated text. And so it is not something that cases that I cited, they were all and I went through peer review and all that. But here's the case: the reviewers were not able to detect it until I came across that work, which cited the work that I have done in years past. So you can easily you can foresee the challenges that accompany this issue of detecting AI-generated text. If times these issues may be a form of delusion, but if you are really in that particular field where this work was published, then you can easily detect it. In fact, if due diligence has been sized, the one that cited the references with the second author being named as researcher I think there could be a possibility that a person could be called a researcher by name, but that alone could even strike you that, okay, can I double check and see if there's a human being who has been named a researcher? So these are the issues. Now, moderator, please, can you help me with the first question that came before this one?
Oh, that was the question from Martin. Oh, I forgot. Martin, could you please
Yes,
quickly remind us the question?
yes, Martin. Yeah, I was asking if I have written a thesis, okay. Then
Oh, yeah.
after finishing my thesis, I want to draft a manuscript out of the thesis. Then I give the entire thesis to AI, and I prompt that based on that particular thesis, the AI should generate the manuscript out of it for me. After I have gotten that particular paper or the manuscript, would the content be regarded as a text, AI-generated text?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Dr. Sherman?
All right. Okay, thank you for the question. When we looked at the function of these AI detection tools, we have underscored the fact that they work in, let's say, they work on probability terms. And so for them, they look at the patterns of text structure. And here, since you gave the whole work to the AI, definitely they are going to extract it within a specific structure. And that structure can be detected by a different detection tool. That is the possibility. Do you get it? So that is my take on that briefly. Because
okay, thank you very much. Oh, no, go on, Doc.
Right. So I think as I indicated, because of the patterns that the AI tool will use to carve your, let me say, your draft. Another detection tool can detect that pattern and then flag it as AI generated. So that could be the possibility. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, in the interest of time, can you take the last two hands? I see Gabriel's hand is up, and then Matthew will be the last so that we get to the next presenter.
Right. So I want to say that, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I want to say that you may have done the work and then your references were made, but because of time constraints, you asked maybe an AI tool to, align your references in, let's say, APA 7th edition. Will that references that have been formatted by the AI tool be flagged as AI generated?
All right, thank you for the question. Once there's references and you have duly acknowledged in your report that you employ this and that AI tool for this specific purpose, on that score, reviewers will together with the report that the AI is giving to make that decision. So as editors, we don't rely solely on the report from the AI detection tool. No, we also look at it from the human perspective. Always, there should be a balance. There should be a balance. So that is that. Once you declare that in your report, reviewers and then editors will take that into consideration before taking their decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chairman. And Nyaba, please, Dr. Nyaba, please be the last presenter.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. So I just want to quickly add that in this presentation, the goal is not to say we are not supposed to use AI in our work, but then to use AI responsibly. And then I like the kind of questions that we are asking, that if you have your content, your dissertation, you put it in AI to format check for you to help you with grammar. So we have different stages of using AI. We have the human in the loop, we have the human on the loop, and the human in action. So for example, the last person who said the referencing purposes, that is human in action. You have your references, right? You have all the sources, you have the journals, you have the DOI. So you ask AI to format check for you. AI didn't generate it for you. It is for you, human in action. The references, you generated it, you looked for it by yourself. So in that way, you only write how you use the AI for only format checking. The declaration is very important because maybe in the course of rewriting for you, AI might eliminate something which you wouldn't know. So if you don't declare and later on they call you somewhere and you make it look like you provided that exact references, then you'll be in trouble. But once you use a touch of AI, if it is grammar check, just write it. If it is about formatting your references, just write it, just declare that. So that in the future, when they call you anywhere, you can declare, you can defend yourself. And that is what we call the responsible AI usage. So if you say, oh yes, I did this A, B, C, D, but then I used AI. So hopefully it might be the AI that eliminated this from that. You can defend yourself from that. But if you don't declare, then whatever you submit, then you will be held responsible with that. So in conclusion, we're not saying that I think the presentation, the picture is that let's use AI, we use it responsibly, making sure that our content are accurate, and then also ensure we declare AI usage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Matthew.
Thank you. So,
oh yes.
Just
yes,
add to wrap up, let's always remember my last take, that in spite of the evolving usage of AI in academic writing, it does not change the fundamental principles of scholarship, which in this case includes the intellectual honesty, transparency, which I highlighted, and it was also highlighted by Matthew, and critical thinking. So always remember this statement anytime you employ AI to assist you in your academic writing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc, for the insightful presentation. Can I, okay, because we don't have time, please, can I ask that we write our questions in the chat while we have the second presenter?
Please,
Mr.
can you
Macarius?
take the last person, Okoro? Okoro has been on for quite some time. Can we give him the chance?
Okay.
Hello, good evening, presenters.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Okoro Lawrence. Sorry, there was a time I went off because of my network. I really enjoyed the presentation, but I want to find out, in academic writing, especially in journal articles and publications, you do not generate all the wordings single-handedly. The ResearchGate will say in their motto, standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, you get documents or articles, journals precisely, and other text documents, review them, and in some places you quote verbatim and cite appropriately. In some areas you paraphrase. Then, in addition to your own creation or creativity, now AI has now come in. So most of the library research that used to be in place is almost being sidelined. Everything is now electronic based. So please, based on these issues on AI, I want to ask, what is the percentage of AI's contribution in a work, in addition to human knowledge, that makes the work original or genuine? I don't know if my question is gotten clearly.
All right. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you for the question. From the AI point of view and its detection, we normally look at the percentage from 50 to 80%. So that percentage is what informed us whether that test was AI generated test or not. So always there's that threshold, 50% to 80%. So let's bear in mind. Thank you.
So invariably, if a work is less than 50% AI contributed, it is assumed to be genuine. Is that the point, sir?
Yes. That's how the detection rate is.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Macarius,
All
over
right,
to you.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sakaba, for the wonderful job, and Dr. Shebe. Participants, please, this session is in two folds. The second session will be coming on very soon on a date to be announced. However, we have the second presenter who will be the main presenter on that particular show here to give us a brief of what we should be expecting. Most of the questions and suggestions are very relevant to the next presentation, which will be coming off very soon. So, Craig, would you kindly come in and brief us on what we should be expecting during your presentation next time?
Hello. Before that, I've raised my hand, but nobody called.
All right. Abuaje,
Yes,
briefly,
sir.
can you make it brief? Very brief, sir.
Okay, Doc. So basically, when I entered late. So I heard somebody was wrapping up. the person said AI, you need to look at AI that are approved by journals and then AI that are approved by universities. How do you have a document that has that, or how do you go about it? How will you know that this particular AI has been approved by a journal or approved by a university? How will you know?
Yeah, I think it was somebody's contribution from the audience. Actually, we need
I'm
to.
here. I'm here. Can I
Who
answer
made
him?
a contribution? We need to
I'm here,
clarify
Dr. Williams. Can
certain.
I answer him?
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Williams.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, it's very important that when you're writing, you already have an idea of the journal you have in mind that you want to publish that particular paper. So for every journal, they have their AI policy, just as your institution have its own AI policy. The percentage of AI acceptance or the areas which they allow you to use AI and the areas they don't allow you to use AI. These things are very important. So at the point of writing, you already know the paper, the journal you're submitting the paper to. If you go to their websites, you will see their AI policy, their terms and conditions with respect to sections that you can use AI and sections that you cannot use AI. So the responsibility is yours to make that findings, to know the percentage of AI that is cool, the journal will accept, and the areas, maybe introduction, maybe methodology, or what area they will allow you to use AI. That assignment is yours to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Treme, is this program recorded? Is it recorded?
Yes, sir. It's being recorded.
Thank God. So, how can we have a copy?
Yes, once you registered before you got in here, it should be sent to you on the same email that you used to register, sir.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay.
God bless all of you, the organizers.
Amen. Amen.
God bless you.
All right. So let's get a brief from the next presenter. Craig, kindly come in. We'll introduce you properly when you take your turn in our next session, sir. Hello, Craig. Dr. Craig.
Okay.
Good.
Hi everyone. I'm just trying to share my.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay. Can you see it? So
yes,
screenshotting.
Thank you. So I'm going to be very brief, and this is a precursor to the webinar that we're going to have on ethics detection, credibility, and policy. And I think all of you have raised really important points. And one of the key things that Patrick had mentioned, and I'm just going to reiterate, AI adoption is rising globally. And one of the things is that we're having multiple AI programs who are continuously being introduced into our environment. And with that, as people were saying, oh, you can have AI detection tools. So I use GPT-0. And I use it in such a way that I'll put a document in and I'll play with it and show students how you can manipulate it until it's actually saying that there is no detection of AI usage. And so we are going to be chasing the rabbit all the time if we think that we can outdo people who are trying to use AI to help them. So what we need to do is come up with policies which at the moment are ad hoc. There's no standardization. There's frameworks that may be within countries, within institutions, but we're not sharing it. And we're not adhering to a standardized format of how people should be approaching AI. So what approach should, if any, we adopt to control and detect AI? Are we going to forever lose that battle? because people will come up with ways and means of overcoming the detection. So you find that institutions have three different pathways that they can follow. You can be very restrictive, which is what happened in the UK and some of their institutions, where they banned ChatGPT and they banned AI, and they threatened the students if they were using it, just like they would threaten use Turnitin to say to people that if you plagiarize and it was over 15%, then you would fail the course or your research would fail. And then you have a controlled use where it's permitted and you disclose and there's clear boundaries, and the university or the school work with the students to understand the policy and what they can and what they can't do. And that is a halfway house to the next one, where you integrate AI into your approach. It's embedded in the teaching and in assessments and in the way that the students use it and submit their research. And so I've given examples of the second case, controlled use, which is what the University of Oxford, one of the top 5 universities in the world, is adopting. However, in the South African context, University of Cape Town, Wits University, my alma mater, and Stellenbosch, they have approached it differently. And I think the reason why they're approaching it differently is because of the African context. I think that all of us in this room, most of us, are speaking English as our second language. And most of the research and literature is based around English. And so people, whether you're a student or whether you're in secondary school or whether you're a lecturer, you have to adapt your writing. AI, to me, has helped students, has helped people whose English is a second language to formulate their structure and their writing, to learn from it and produce quality writing. However, let's have some stats just to make you aware of what. There's a recent survey that came out in 2026, and you can see the link at the bottom, the HEPI survey, Student Generative AI Survey of 1,000 students. In the UK, they found that 95% of students are using AI tools. Only 33% of the students still use traditional methods for research. Only 36% of students said that they felt encouraged to use AI. So in a way, the 64% are trying to hoodwink the lecturers and the institution by finding ways and means of using AI so that they can produce the work that they want. And 38% said that they were provided with the tools to use AI and policies that went with that. 68% of students said that forms of assessment have now changed in response to AI, which is a positive, and they're aware of it. And as long as there's open communication, that's a positive thing for both. Only 48% of students feel that they were helped to develop their AI skills. And therein lies a problem, because unless we make people aware of what AI can do, the positive and the negative, you will find that people fall into the trap of using AI without knowledge of how it can undermine the work that they're producing. Now, this is an interesting one, and this is increasing all the time. 60% of AI detection tools fail. And that's where Patrick was talking about false positives and false negatives and hallucinations. And sadly, in the African context, where English is the second language, a lot of times when you put it into an AI detector, it will then come back and say that it's been AI generated when it hasn't. So what we find with students, and I'll come on to another slide, that writing and summaries and using AI is the most common area. And lecturers are reporting globally that there's rising uncertainty around detection, and it also causes a breakdown in relationships between the lecturer and the student, because there's an atmosphere of suspicion, which leads to anxiety in the students as well. According to a report on the AI in sub-Saharan Africa, and the link is down at the bottom there, only 24% of teachers in Africa use AI or are aware of AI. So the people on this webinar may be the ones who are in that 24%, but I'm sure that you also are aware of many colleagues who are what we term BC, before computers, or now it's going to be BAI, before AI, and they feel threatened by it. And there is a desperate need for lecturers, teachers to be trained and developed on the use of AI and how to use it as a pedagogical tool, but also to help their students. And then in the African context, 82% of students through the continent do not have access to computers at home. And this is important because in our context, the non-readiness, digital non-readiness sits at 53%. And this emphasizes the gap between the global north and the south. And where we're trying to narrow the inequality gap within our countries between those that have and those don't, we're also having to challenge our position against the global north, who are coming up with ways and means of using these tools to as part of their everyday living. So there's a lack of sufficient awareness and training. So what we as Africa needs is to build capacity with our teachers and lecturers and have awareness in the ethical use by students. So just to give you some more statistics, if you look, most students are using it to help with their writing, over 65%. But at the same time, a lot of them are using it to brainstorm. Now, as we know, in the past, the traditional methods of doing research and being innovative would be for people to sit in groups, for people to read articles. What we're doing now is just using AI, which is a language model that control whatever research is out there. And we can put ideas in and it can generate back for us to then start interacting with it and thinking. That's not a negative. The writing, we need to help the students and the researchers to be aware of what they can do to declare something that is theirs. And going back to what Patrick ended on, we need intellectual honesty, we need transparency, and we need to maintain the critical thinking. We can only do that if people are prepared to accept, just like they weren't prepared to accept plagiarism, we're not prepared to accept people sort of using AI to camouflage that they are not producing their own work. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, and a lot of the comments that people raise is that we need policies where people are aware of what they can and what they can't do, the strengths, the weaknesses, and the risks of using AI. Okay, we have to think about it in terms of it can be a great equalizer and it can be a great divider. As I've highlighted to you, a lot of the algorithmic bias is due to the data reinforcing Western-centric and socioeconomic biases, which disadvantage marginalized groups, particularly in the African context. Exactly the same in terms of access. Those that can pay for the fastest, smartest, most accurate AI and up-to-date AI, with those who are seeking out the free ones because they don't have the money and it's outdated and it's restricted and it doesn't give them the same level. So what we need to do to narrow it, to improve the equity, is improve the digital literacy, give people awareness, train them from school level to university level so that they're aware of what they can and can't do. So I'm not going to go through this. Patrick mentioned it, and I will talk in more depth when we have the next webinar about false positives, how that is a negative for English speaking or people with English as their second language. And equally, what it does in terms of false negatives, which people are basically using sophisticated AI to bypass detection and declare work which is not their own. And that then leads to the credibility and misinformation because people are not necessarily doing thorough research. Okay, and the most important thing for me in our African context is the unequal access, lack of awareness, and the ability for people to know how to use AI correctly. So here are some of the impacts and challenges that we have for both the educator, the lecturers, the teachers, and also the students that are linked to false positives, false negatives, the equity gap, and the bias. And how it builds a distrust. It erodes transparency. It erodes credibility of the research. And so we have to make people recognize that it's a mindset that they have to go through. Just like you wouldn't accept plagiarism, and we shouldn't be accepting people just doing work through AI. We should encourage people to use it in a ethical way, in a transparent way, and one that helps them with their work, but it still allows for their critical thinking, their unique thinking and thoughts to come through. Now, this is my last slide, and I did this on purpose. I put all my thinking together, and I then went into ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of them, and I said, here are my thinking. I'm about to give a webinar where I'm giving a foretaste on ethics, credibility, transparency, and policy. Can you come up with a diagram that could capture people's attention and that is relevant to the topics? And this is what it came up with. Now, it's my work. They've generated it. And so am I cheating? And should I be declaring it, which I am? But every single bit of the content within here were words that I put in, but the graphics and everything else are coming from the AI. So what I'll be emphasizing in the next webinar is the importance of institutions, universities, TVET colleges to develop and support the lecturers and also the students. So the lecturers, there needs to be continuous professional development. There needs to be ways and means that we can help and support lecturers who do not feel confident around AI. Just like a new lecturer coming into a university needs support and needs that scaffolding. We need to be able to do that. We need to ensure that there's an ethical guideline that both the students and the lecturers can use for assessment purposes. I've just helped write a paper around a comparative study between AI assessments and a marking of assessments and a human marking of assessments. And what was really interesting is that both of them track exactly the same in terms of what was the highest mark and what was the lowest. The difference was, strangely enough, AI was more strict than the human. Human was more strict than the AI. So the marks were slightly inflated with AI, and that's because of the algorithms that they built in. So we've got to make sure that there's clear guidelines, that there's departments that are actually honed in to oversee AI and its development so that we can avoid the pitfalls that come with AI, and that will undermine the credibility of the individual departments, institutions. And I think that in terms of schooling, one of the things that we have to do, we have to recognize that the digital world is here to stay. AI is here to stay. It's going to become more sophisticated. So what we're going to have to do is educate people on what AI is and how it can be used for personal and professional growth and development and help enhance the research world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Craig Gibbs. We are looking forward to having you on our second session. Thank you, everyone. And on behalf of the team, the Gen AI team, ERA team, I would like to sincerely thank our speakers for their valuable contributions and for participants who contributed to the discussion. And we also appreciate your time that you have been with us here. Please stay connected with Gen AI ERA, that is Generative Artificial Intelligence in Education and Research in Africa, for upcoming webinars and activities. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and have a nice time. Thank you so much for being part of this session.
Thank you, Macarius.
Thanks,
thank
everyone.
you, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much. See you next time. Very soon, we'll announce the date for the next session, which will be led by Dr. Greg Gibbs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, organizers. It's encouraging. That was interesting. So we appreciate it.
Our pleasure, sir.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the compliments.